Thank you, Doc. We're privileged to have the Chargé d'Affaires for the Embassy of Denmark in Ghana, Ambassador Bridget Lacour Matson. Thank you, Ambassador, for being here. We're privileged to have, of course, the AGI CEO. I'll introduce him properly, but Mr. Sethu Makwaba is also here. Thank you, sir, for being here. This clapping doesn't spread COVID. So, I mean, we're already nicely socially distanced. We're all doing all the masks, so I'm not sure applause spreads the virus. We're very happy to have a special guest of ours and the chairman of the SDF Steering Committee, the great Constance Sonic, also here with us, please. And we have a few other people who will introduce as the program proceeds. Now, the chairperson for today's program is very apt because he's been in this for years. An economist and a business consultant. He's been the CEO of the AGI since 2011. So next year is your 10th anniversary. We should also do a party or a program to commemorate that. Sethu Makwaba links policy with practice. We've interviewed him many, many times. He's a passionate advocate for the development of the private sector in general and industry in particular in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very happy to bring to you our chairman, Sethu Makwaba. Please welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bernard, and good morning to all of you. I'm happy to see my brother, Dr. Feda Samuel here. We've been working together on a lot of areas, especially in skills development, so acknowledgement. I also like to acknowledge the presence of the Chargé d'Affaires, Ambassador Bridget, the SDF Fund Manager, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed an honor to be invited to chair this very important function on skills development virtual fair today. I know this is not the first time, but it's the first time that it's being organized virtually, so it makes it unique. Let me also take the opportunity to commend the SDF Fund for the great job they've done over the past 10 years in the area of practical skills development for businesses and industry in the country. AGI has been associated with the SDF Fund right from the onset, and indeed we have been one of the major beneficiaries over the years, at the association level and also through our members. So I can appreciate the kind of work they've done and the impact they've made over the years. Let me also thank the Danish Embassy for all the support, the sponsorship, and ensuring that this program had the oil to make it work and how far this program has come. Unfortunately, I'm told it will not last any longer, but whatever it is, 10 years of a program is indeed very significant. I've been working on several projects, and in most cases, you get it for 3 years. At best, you get it extended for about a year more, a year and a half. So to run for 10 years, they really need a big round of applause. There's no doubt that skill development is an essential part of our industrial and business development, especially the technical and vocational skills. When working in industry, we always hear complaints from our members, we are not getting the right skills for our work. On the other hand, you also hear there is so much, of course we know that there are so many people who are not getting jobs. So it's a paradox. On one hand, industries are saying we are not getting some skills, so there's lack of skills. On the other hand, people are saying we are not getting jobs. So definitely there is a gap. And how do we bridge this gap? I believe this is the reason why the SDF was established. Indeed, I must say that Convert over the years has also been playing a very important role, and therefore the marriage between Convert and SDF Fund is not by an accident. It is because they play a key role in the development of skills, especially when it comes to technical and vocational skills. I'm told that the beneficiaries of the SDF Fund, most of them double their output after they have received the support to train their workers or go through some training program or technology development or whatever. And also inform that about 630 new technologies have been developed by the private sector as a result of the support they have received from the SDF fund. These are important statistics, and it clearly demonstrates that if you commit resources to the development of skills, it will be an important catalyst for development, especially industrial development. So whilst appreciating the efforts by CODVET and SDF and all other institutions, we also agree with me that we still have a significant gap between what industry requires and what the skills that are available. And this is partly because the dynamics of the system keeps changing. Industrial dynamics are changing by the day. Today there are certain products that we were not dreaming of producing in Ghana, but they are happening. Today we are producing tiles, ceramic tiles in the country. We have a number of companies that are producing them and high quality. And once they started producing the tiles, I know some of our members who are also producing the tile cement. So it means the value chain is growing. We started assembling vehicles. It means that in the near future we need to have companies producing the vehicle parts to supply to these companies. In the agri-business chain, under the 1D1F, a number of factories are being established. Special skills are being required. We know the work that is going on in the integrated aluminum projects, which when finalized, will have the entire chain of aluminum activities done in Ghana, right from the bauxite production to the refinery to alloys producing them into sheets, and then tertiary production of cables, cookwares, roofing sheets, and all that. So we're fortunate to have the entire chain being done here. Recently, His Excellency the President launched the construction of a foundry at CSR to produce machine parts. And all this means that we have the opportunity to grow our industrial sector. But in doing so, these are the new areas that are coming up. What skills are we providing for these new areas? And I think a program of this nature is supposed to help solve that problem. I believe that if we put our resources together and not only focus on the traditional areas, but also think of some of these new areas that are coming up, we would indeed make a big impact. I'm aware that CODVET is setting up the sector skills body to help address these problems, and it's indeed a forward-looking effort, and I appreciate it. Agreement is with us, the FCFTA. By January next year, it is starting. A lot of SMEs are asking, how do we participate? People are really confused as to how their involvement is going to be. All they hear of or they know of is that our markets are going to be flooded. And if I'm a small enterprise, how do I also export? And it's a challenge. But here, I think skill development can play a major role. The reason is that for the small enterprise, it will be difficult for them to travel to other African countries and go and look for markets. Even if they get the order, the volumes that will come, they probably cannot meet that order. The financial and transportation logistics to deal with that is going to be a Herculean task. So the strategy should be that we have aggregators, big-time buyers who are buying from the small enterprises, putting them together and exporting on their behalf. But that aggregation is only possible when the small enterprises are able to produce to standards and specifications. But that requires special skills. Perhaps we should avert our mind to some of these and develop the skills of our small enterprises so they can produce parts of products, smaller volumes of a bigger contract, and different products that could be easily assembled. All these are very important, and I believe that if we work together, we should be able to achieve that objective. Most businesses make effort to train their own workers. There's no doubt about that. If you talk to most of the industries, they put some resources down to train their workers. But is that enough? It's never been enough. And for the typical small enterprise, what is happening is also that they invest resources training their people, and then they are approached by other firms who are probably bigger or better financially resourced. What happens to them? It means that as a country, we need to have a pool. When it comes to skills development, it is key to our development agenda, and we cannot run away from it. Very soon, the SDF fund will be running up, as I'm told. The question is, what happens next? And no government has been supporting in this area, but I believe that if we want to sustain the good work that has been done by the SDF fund, then more resources should be voted for this. I appreciate the work that's been done by Converts, very much so, but I think that they don't have the entire resources that they need to develop the skills that we need, mostly for industries. So there are a lot of things to be discussed, and I'm happy that there's also a virtual fair to see the achievement that has been made over the past years, and therefore we are in a good place to have a good idea of what is happening. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me to chair this function. I believe we will cooperate and we'll have the best of us in this year today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is the 5th Skills Development Fair. We're live on his Facebook page as we are on COTVET's Facebook page. Like the page, share what you're seeing. If you just joined us online, you've just missed 2 speeches. The fund manager gave us his quick remarks. Our chairman, Sechu Makwaba, just accepted to chair, but you are in time to hear the next quick speech. Now, you can't talk about COTVET without talking about SDF. They are like partners, because whereas the Skills Development Fund delivers the government program or the program, it's really the COTVET that is the Council for Technical and Vocational Education. So they are like twins. We're very happy to have the Executive Director, Dr. Fretia Sama, to bring us greetings and his quick remarks. Please put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Sama.
It's not twins. In fact, COTVET is supervising SDF, is the host agency for the fund, and COTVET is also an agency under the Ministry of Education. So that means Ministry of Education, the main ministry for the fund, and COTVET to supervise it in collaboration with our stakeholders. Maybe I know part of what the chairman just started by saying, what next? On this note, whilst I welcome the chairman, the deputy ambassador for Denmark, the Danish deputy ambassador, the chairperson for the steering committee for the SDF Constance Monica. I see a lot of stakeholders here. I see AFDB here. I see Dr. Feti here. I see a lot of people with the COVID, and everybody's face is covered. The numbers, we want to curb it, as the president has said. We need to protect ourselves and others. So we want to stick to the COVID protocols to make sure that we don't transmit it or we don't receive it. Ghana so far has done very well compared to other nations, and as such, I believe we're going to keep to it by saying that government believes that 50% of your problem to move up as local industries, and especially in Africa, is skills. And as such, have been forward-looking by following up with the Jobs and Skills Project. And in fact, the Jobs and Skills projects tend to even quadruple or triple whatever the resources that was invested in the Skill Development Fund. And we are hoping, now that government is working on to ensure that there's a sustainable funding for TVET, we can do same through the SDG. So Nowadays, I try not to go by speeches. I want, because it's competency-based training we are promoting. So I want to look at the situation and we discuss. So we come to the 5-year strategic plan that government put in place, which has 5 policy objectives: governance and management of TVET, quality in technical and vocational education, then access, creating access for our students or learners across the country. The 5th one, I'll come to the 4th one. The 5th one is ensuring that greening philosophies are part of our training and our skill development, because if the industry can be sustainable, we can be conscious of our environment, so that the practice that happens at their industrial setting is continued to protect the environment, then we have to start from the training level. So that one is one of the policy objectives. And the 4th one is the sustainable funding for TVETs or skill training, which basically also underpins skill development fund. So the fund is not to do anything but to focus on developing the specific skills that the industry needs, not just developing any skill just like that. It has to align. Other than that, we cannot move the industry to the next level. And many times it has been invested in by government. And you know, we talk about projects coming and it goes away, projects coming and it goes away. Government is thinking that we cannot continue to just have projects, but we have to have a sustainable approach that we can support skill training. We're talking about the huge investment that has gone into technical and vocational education over the past few years. The skill development, jobs and skills project, about $200 million that is going to support skill training. How do we institutionalize it? And I believe my deputy minister will be joining us, so I don't want to pray anything. But government is making sure that skills, which is about 50% of what the industry needs, is available. Because many times you can see so much investment that has gone in with our local industry. So the question is, why is it that their products are not being patronized by either the local market or external market? Why is it that the services are not being patronized by either the local market or the external market? It's all about product and services. That is what makes an economy strive and do well. We like German machines, right? People, I know most of you like BMW or Mercedes, isn't it? It's because of maybe the quality and how durable it is. So how can we also do same so that Germans or the Danish people or Chinese will also come here and buy their product the same way we troop outside of this country to go and get their product? Just this morning, I'm coming from Fiesta Royal Hotel. We have the sector skill body for ICT meeting. The CEO talked about the sector skill bodies that we are setting up. We are very smart and sharp young ones in this country. In fact, when you get to my age and it's time to go into ICT, you are too late. We have to get the 13, 14, 15-year-olds doing Windows, because they are doing it for other developed nations. Why can't we do where there's sort of a training going on? People are setting up training and all that. Why is it that it's not affecting our system? There's something wrong there. And government is saying that I don't have to be in the way. If I can help you to be successful, let me just take the lead, create the enabling environment for you so that you can be successful. So that's why we are setting the sector skill bodies out, and we believe that they will come in to also help us to make such funds be successful. The CEO earlier talked about the SDF, which have been in place, and how the second phase of the SDF have done, and so I don't want to go into the numbers and repeat that. The economy is changing rapidly. Industry is changing rapidly, and we cannot catch up or just continue to play catch up. We have to either our power with it, or we have to take the lead. And if we can do that, nobody will do it for us. I'm telling you, the projects will come in and come in and come in. Ghana Beyond Aid is what has to happen. If we don't do it for ourselves, it cannot be done for us. That is why it's critical that such projects has come in to jumpstart the process and the conversation. Government is doing its best to support us to make sure that we as local industries are successful. Let's also see the government, they join hands with welcome another Deputy Minister of Skill Development Fund. So once my boss is in, and then my boss will be speaking, so I want to take this opportunity once again to thank you, all the stakeholders, the Danish people, the government of Ghana, other development partners for the support you continue to give to skill development. As our president has stated, he wants Ghana to be #1 in Africa as far as technical and vocational education is concerned. This is the only way we can upskill, but the Skill Development Fund is empowered and able to carry out its functions that it requires to form. Urging our viewers on as well. Thank Can we continue the speeches and then get the video on already? Yes, so if we're not ready, we would have to put the brakes on that. We apologize. We have viewers all over, so we don't want to have too much of a break. So please put the lights back on. And please get me the other mic, because I think we can be switching mics so that some of our speakers can take off their masks. So I will keep this mic, and then the next speaker, you give her this mic which has not been used, so that those who are watching will not think they are seeing. I think it's a bit odd to just be seeing people in masks, So we'll do that. We'll sanitize the mics as well, and also wipe our hands. So this is the 50th Development Fair, live from Alusa Hotel. We've heard from Codvet, we've heard from SDF, we've heard from our chairman. Now we want to hear from an important partner in this conversation, in the person of the Chargé d'Affaires for the Embassy of Denmark, Bridget Lecoeur Matson. Please put your hands together for her as she comes up. Please give her mic. Thank you. So you may, I don't know if
Hello, now it's working. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Deputy Minister of Education, Executive Director of CODWET, Mr. Chairman, Chair of the SDF Steering Committee, SDF staff, I know there is a number of you here, colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here today to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Skills Development Fund. And I want to take the opportunity up front to congratulate everyone here who's taken part in the journey. I think you can take pride in the fact that it's been a successful one, and it's resulted not only in better skilled labor, but importantly also in more and better employment opportunities in Ghana. And I think that's an important achievement. So well done. It's a skills development, as we've heard from some of the previous speakers, is an essential prerequisite for realizing the government's ambition to move beyond aid. And I don't think its importance can be underestimated. And that's also clearly reflected in the theme of our gathering here today. Because better skilled workers equipped with the tech, the transition from aid to trade expands opportunities for all Ghanaians. For decades, many of our most well-known and most successful companies to date, they were founded by skilled workers that were excellent at their trade. So skills development has therefore historically been an integrated part of the NIDA programs in Africa and elsewhere around the world. And as you will all know who are gathered here today, Ghana is really no exception. In 2006, a study commissioned by the government of Ghana revealed that the generally poor quality of the skill set of the Ghanaian workforce at the time could be one of the major reasons for the country's challenge to translate its abundant natural resources into much needed growth and jobs. So my predecessors at the Danish embassy, right here across the street, took on the challenge very early on and decided to pilot a new approach to skills development in the middle of the first decade of the new millennium. So where we in the NIDA traditionally would have worked on the supply side of skills development by building and developing vocational schools, we at the time took a different approach here in Ghana and launched an innovative, tailor-made pilot project that delivered demand-driven skills development to Ghanaians, ensuring the now famous match between the competences needed in the labor market and the training provided. And I think all of the previous speakers have touched upon that, and I think that's really where SDF has made a big difference. The pilot project was later, in close cooperation with COTVET, developed into a full-fledged skills development program, and subsequent World Bank jointly supported SDF-1 with about $70 million until June 2016. And between June 2016 and now, Denmark has supported financially by the government of Ghana. Used to be matched by a significant self-financing, either in cash or kind, has really proven itself over the years. And I think it's safe to say that SDF has made it visible to the private sector in Ghana that investments in skills development really pay off. So during the decade behind us, SDF has provided significant support to both the formal and informal sectors, mainly in agriculture and renewable energy. So climate-smart agricultural technologies, including greenhousing, soilless farming, and conservational agriculture, are just some of the technical areas in which agribusiness SMEs, farmer-based organizations, as well as large farms, have strengthened the competencies of their members and their workers. And the skills upgrade has, among other things, brought about innovations leading to improved yields, improved quality of produce, and that translating into increased revenues. So as the fund manager alluded to, I think in his introductory comments, over the 10-year period we are marking today, 48,500 grants have been implemented. Close to 120,000 beneficiaries have been trained, and about 14,000 jobs have been created. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's really well done. As we'll see in the course of today, there are many success stories behind these numbers, and I would like to share just one from the formal sector. A lot of you may probably know it. I'm talking of Sugarland Limited, which is an SDF beneficiary. The company produces fruit trees and vegetables for local and export markets. And with the support from SDF, Sugarland staff was trained in greenhouse management and maintenance, good agronomic practices, integrated pest management, and post-harvest management. And the results really speak for themselves, because after the training, greenhouse production of tomatoes increased from 1.7 kilo per tomato plant to 4 kilos. Productivity increases were also registered in open field tomato production and cucumber production. Another example is the Kintampo Cooperative Mango Farming and Marketing Society. It's an example from the informal sector, which has also benefited from SDF support. The cooperative received support from SDF to promote value addition among farmers as a way to improve income generation and food security. So training in improved harvesting techniques, design and operation of non-electrical cold storage technology, packaging, and much more led, for example, some of the farmers into processing some of their mango fruits into jam, which is now sold in the local market, increasing overall income in the area. Because it's not difficult to find this type of story in Ghana, the SDF model has become an inspiration for the design and implementation of similar funds, and listen, in Uganda, Rwanda, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Nigeria, Kenya, and Tanzania. And very recently, our very own board chair, Mrs. Constance Svaneke, has contributed to the Danish Minister for Development Corporation's White Book on Job Creation and Skills Development in Africa. It's an input into what will, in the very near future, result in an intensified effort by the Danish government to contribute to expanded economic opportunity in Africa through skills development. So the legacy lives on. As some of you may be aware, we at the Danish Embassy in Ghana will by the end of this year have completed our own transition from aid to trade. And the geographical focus of Denmark's future efforts to strengthen vocational training in Africa will therefore be focused elsewhere on the continent. But that does not mean that the partnership between Denmark and Ghana comes to an end. Not at all. Going forward, we will continue to support sustainable and equitable growth in Ghana through trade-based partnerships, investments, political cooperation, research and strategic cooperation in, for example, statistics and urban water management. And as for the skills development agenda here in Ghana, we are very pleased to note that the World Bank will come in and provide continued support to the government of Ghana's overall goal of providing equal access to quality education and skills development, and continue our joint efforts in the last decade to ensure strong and close links between Ghanaian businesses, TVET institutions and universities, in order to ensure that when we also go forward, we continue to make sure that competencies developed meet market demands. And as I'm confident that today's results fair will once again show the model that we've developed here in Ghana is a model that works. And I'm convinced that it will continue to deliver in terms of strengthening overall competitiveness of the Ghanaian economy in decades.
Wow, that was nice. Please put your hands together. So that was the SDF model. This is still our 5th Skills Development Fair. This program is in 3 parts. We're just getting to the tail end of part 1. Part 2 is a panel discussion. Part 3, we have a virtual exhibition or fair where you'd see more of the companies mentioned. I think it's now a good time to receive our keynote speaker in the person of the Deputy Minister for Education and also Member of Parliament for Buakwa North, Honorable Gifty Chum Ampofo. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Ambassador to Ghana, Executive Director, CODVET, which name I used to Council or Commission, Steering Committee, our friends from the media. I am very glad. Please to begin on a personal note. I am a person who has always believed that the development of our country is inextricably linked to the skills development of our population. As a teacher myself, I have always understood that our future depends on the education of our children and, more importantly, skills development. Ladies and gentlemen, under the able leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa and the Minister for Education, Dr. Matthew Pompe, this government set out to pursue a vision of a Ghana that is not dependent on aid term 17. This culminated in the launch of the Ghana Beyond Aid Charter as the opportunity to develop to their fullest God-given talent. Skill training, practicable, and ensure that everyone one has access to necessities of life, including good health care, water, sanitation, and decent housing, are always in line with the goals. Most importantly, through peace and security. It's coming to an end. The government of Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, the Ministry of Education, Regulatory Body Act 2020. So, SDF is not just a committee of, it stays in our books and in our laws. Under the commission funding committees. Again, under the Job and Skills Project, and an amount of 60 new competitive grants to private. This is to consolidate the progress in all skills development agenda as a country. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond the creation of skills, support skills development, upgrade to better respond to rapidly growing labor and productivity of workers, as well for the various activities to individuals and operationalize the Ghana labor market information systems. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate a decade of so instructed to point out that two major policies that are currently in operation, education framework and competency-based training, and I will encourage all partners have to know. The CBT aims to shift TVET from theory-based teaching and demand-driven outcome-based education, and since we centered on industry-driven or industry-generated standards, it means the industry, you are our partners. We're training the individuals for you, and for that reason, it is an appeal, and it's incumbent upon all of us to whatever you request, we make sure we caucus that in the curricula. So as we provide the curricula and the teaching, we are appealing that you also make your industries available, because we're training them to suit your demands. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, under the 5-year strategic plan for TVET transformation, all TVET institutions are expected to use. Please yourselves well, such that by the time you are review, now that TVET is full of investment, you need those years be smart and get the CBT qualification. Thus, once CBT reaches its full implementation on the National TVET qualification framework for TVET learners policies, all TVET institutions, TVET facilitators, accessors, council, and Romo stepped into the commission so as to occasion to encourage all beneficiaries of the fund to work closely with the COVID to ensure sustainability through registration and accreditation. In conclusion, I commend the Danish government for supporting the government project. I believe more projects like this will go a long way to ensure that we truly have Ghana which is beyond it. May God bless us all and we hope one Ghana to make us great and strong. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Please put your hands together one more time for her. And while you are still here, we want to launch the publication, the launch of the SDF results book. That first to official chairman's close for that conversation. Again, I'm sorry for letting you sit down, Madam Deputy Minister and Madam Ambassador. Your job. This is a compendium of what we've done for the past few years, and we want you to duly launch it. Give them the mic. I'm sure they'll say a few things.
Skills. I wear the mask. as the way I read my Bible. The president says we should wear it because the COVID is with us. So I'm waiting for a day where I'll see the president in public wear the mask, then I'll also remove mine. Today, we have the Skills Development Fund, a decade of upskilling our workforce for Ghana Beyond Aid. And the Ghana Beyond Aid, with the SDF and the level we've gotten, we want to say that with the fund, we declare it legal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Minister, please take your seat. Madam Ambassador, if you could just sit here, because we want your face. There are two presentations to two very important people, and Adjoa will read the citation and tell us who the first one is going to. This is Constance Wanika's own, so just tell us a bit and do the citation reading. Then the ambassador will present that, and then the minister will present the second one to Dr. Fetty. So, Adjoa.
Madam Constance Elizabeth Swanika, we express our privilege as the SDF to recognize your work and to honor you today. We joined the Skills Development Fund Steering Committee in December 2016 for its second phase as a private sector member. Having worked in the metal fabrication sector for decades, you were eager to contribute your quota. Your achievements in the metal fabrication sector speaks volume. Your company, Essence and Arts, is known for its exceptional metal products and for providing practical training to interns from various technical institutions in Ghana. In addition to producing for high-end customers, your company graduated to include the manufacture of standard medical equipment and tools. Your insatiable desire for change took you further afield when you established the Design and Technology Institute to drive a fundamental change in an otherwise male-dominated sector. It was a natural transition to chair the SDF Steering Committee from June 2019 to date. Your experience in the private sector no doubt shows up in the valuable comments, contributions and suggestions you make, especially when it relates to the effective utilization of the fund by applicants and successful grantees alike. In particular, you are concerned that grant beneficiaries take advantage of the support they receive to position themselves to compete on the international stage. You are known for your calmness yet firmness in leading the committee. These qualities have proven invaluable in helping to transition SDF to a new sustainable phase. We present the citation to you as a token of our appreciation.
To be presented by the Chargé d'Affaires, Excellency Bridget Lecoeur. We'll now ask Adjoa to read.
Dr. George Afeti, we congratulate you on your well-deserved retirement from the Skills Development Fund Steering Committee after nearly a decade of outstanding service. Your immense experience from the private sector was evident during innumerable discussions at the committee. By your exceptional ability, initiative, and total dedication, the SDF stands as an efficient, accountable, and independent operation that is responsive to the needs of the private sector of Ghana. You offered valuable engineering and technology insights on projects presented for approval. And where you had misgivings, you were forthright with your justifications. You introduced ideas that led to innovations in SES application process. It is little wonder you were selected as a skills development expert with the Skills Initiative for Africa project in recognition of your achievements with SDF. On this special occasion, we would like to thank you for your sustained commitment to fostering skills-based enterprise development across the African continent. You have set an example to be followed in the future and cherished by those of us who were fortunate to work with you. In recognition of your valuable contribution to SDF work, we present the citation.
Citation to Dr. George Afechi, presented by Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable Gifty Chumampafo, for dedicated end of part 1, but the way we do in radio is we want to just segue into part 2. I don't know if you want to run away, but I don't think it's a good idea. So what I want to do is to introduce the panel members, have a brief conversation. We've watched a video of what has happened, but I feel the panel will give us the chance to harvest a bit of the lessons. And we have a nice panel. We have the guys doing the project implementation, the guys benefiting, and those who are independently reviewing. So I want to just call the panel members. Manager for Skills Development Fund, Mr. Biannual is also on the panel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now on the beneficiary side, Stephen Eko, and also on the grantee side, Professor George Nkansa, Director of Institute of Applied Science and Technology, Professor Nkansa Association. I didn't know there was an association like Dr. Johnson Wilson. I put very simple because of time and to I mean, we have how many? 7 men. Gosh, this is bad. It's terrible. I feel like letting them be alone. That's I think it's good to start with the people who are so the Emigo, you are the yogurt people, and then we'll deal with the institute as well. Then we'll talk to the implementers, and then we'll talk to the reviewer. All right. So let me start with
my name again is Ebenezer Abuaku. Ghana Flower Growers Association happens to be a trade association or industry association that has to do with growing of plants, not only flowers. So what we do is that we multiply the plants, we do landscaping in homes and other public places, and also sell cut flowers. And we realize that we're not getting so much out of what we're doing, and sometimes some of them are very difficult to multiply. So, and then again, when the value or the planting material has a very low yielding value, then virtually not getting anything out of that. So we approached Skills Development Fund, asking that they could help us train our members in trying to multiply and trying to even increase how much we're able to grow. So that's how come we came into contact with SDF.
What specifically did you learn or members learn during the training?
So much actually. We realized that sometimes some of the wheating powder we used to even enhance germination was very expensive, but we could be trained to use local hormones like coconut water, and that could increase the amount of the number of seedlings were growing or multiplying. Again, we realized that many of them didn't know how to package them. So again, this also was something that we could do. So now as we speak, you see the proliferation of a lot of growers along the street and things. And that goes to show that the intervention has done so well to really help others. And let me be quick to say that not only learning for ourselves alone, but we also started training others that could really bring us multiplying effect.
Amazing.
Yes, and then fortunately again for us, Atomic Energy Commission, we've partnered them and we've released land to set up what we call Garrick International Flower Center. So in future, you might not have to be going around. You have a stop shop for all your flower needs within the industry value chain.
So finally, how has the industry overall benefited?
We started where people sometimes didn't know, or more or less, they could have, nobody was buying because the quality was quite poor. But now, in fact, it has increased the yield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abuaku. Let's go to Eku. You are with the Emigo company. Again, how did you get to hear of SDF and what were the things they trained you in?
By chance, I happened to go into yogurt production. We didn't have any experience in India. All we know is to produce, but you're training in your sector. And so, yeah, I got these hints from business colleague in the industry, and that's how we got in touch with SDF. You know, we tried it a couple of times before we actually got it. So, yes.
What were some of the things they trained you and your staff in?
We do things, but we're not developing things stage-wise. So after we got a facility, we now have what we call standard operating procedures, so that anybody standing by any machine knows that this is the way you do things, and at the end of the day, all of us get the same results.
So how have you grown in the past few years? What's the size of the business now? What are the top 2 things you can say have resulted from the training you had under SDF?
Literally, we were hoping to reduce wastage, which we did, from 15% to almost an average of 1%. And we're also hoping to increase production. Literally, we no increase the production, but we reduce wastage. Technically, we increase production in a way. So these are the two things. And again, we recorded most of our trainings, and so we have it as something that we could always pass it on to anybody that would employ into the company.
Fantastic. Please give the mic to Professor Nkansa. You're the director of IAST. So that's a different kind of beneficiary, Institute of Applied Science and Technology. How did you hear about SDF and what did they do for you?
Thank you very much. IAST, as the Institute of Applied Science and Technology, is a unit of the COSRI.
All right.
Hitherto, SDF, we're all blaming us that we are the tourists on the shelves. So now we said, no, we'll go to industry and then train people, workers, the growers, how they can be industry fit. So when we heard about SDF talking about coming for grants to train people, especially in the greenhouse industry, we said, why not? Because when Jesus saw the multitudes, he had compassion. So we also had compassion on the greenhouse growers, because people are just going into it. It's not just agronomy, but it's now some practical training. So that's how come we got in touch with SDF to do training in greenhouses for growers.
So the greenhouse was your flagship project?
Yes.
So how many businesses have benefited from this training?
Oh, a lot, quite a lot. But for the COVID, we could have covered a lot of people now. So the initial piloting was about 18, then grew to 100. This was going to be exponential when the COVID setting. But we have e-learning, because the models that we developed are in 5 phases or 5 models, and it's on the e-platform.
Amazing.
So which can reach.
So now that the project is over, how many businesses have come out of your training?
A lot, because it is training and
trainers,
and then they have also set up their own greenhouses, and because of the skills that they have developed, it has impacted not only people but on the food that we are eating, because they are now eating quality and safe foods.
Great.
Here, two people are even afraid to eat vegetables. Amazing. Now we can safely. When I go to the greenhouse, I just pick and I don't even wash, of course. I just choose.
Amazing.
Yes.
Please do the mic to me. Thank you very much. Round of applause for the beneficiaries who have sanitized the mic. This is the panel discussion. So these are the people with the testimonies. Let's go to those who set out to do the training. Daniel Eko is the deputy fund manager. I'm going to ask you 3 questions at the same time. So when this started, what was the vision like? What were the targeted beneficiaries? Were there specific sectors? So just give me some sense of the thinking when this project started.
All right. Thank you. The idea was that as a country, whether we like it or not, whatever we put out there as product and services, we are in competition with others. And people talk about competitive strategy, which is bloody. If you don't put the measures in place, others will beat you to it. So, as was identified, we're not doing too well in the area of skills and quality of products. And so the funding was provided so that enterprises could apply and use it to train their workforce in areas of skills that can help them upgrade. And
specific targeted sectors?
Yes. Initially, it was the agri sector and renewable energy or sustainable energy. But because this is a challenge fund, others get the chance to also apply. So even for those who are not in the sector, if you make a compelling argument or proposal, you can also get the fund. So we have, apart from the core sectors that were identified, we have other sectors.
So after 10 years, if I were to ask you to name which sectors have seen the most significant impact, your top 3
business, which is the processing and the value chain, that's a huge impact because we have institutions that have brought the artisans together to offer them the ability to jump into that trade, which hitherto they didn't know. So that is significant, and we see issues of health and safety and so on has also improved.
Dr. Samoa and that type of thing. The expectation was when the project began. So that's a double. Dr. Samoa. Yes.
Thank you very much. I always put it from the private sector perspective, setting standards, so that the lab should be able to implement same in another lab. So what covered being under the Ministry of Education, so supervise it, so that the trainings and the learnings could be expanded. If you look at what ECU has been able to do or what is being done in greenhouse, there are a whole lot of greenhouse scattered around. So how do we locally develop our training programs? Because you realize that when curriculums are developed and they are imported, it's different from coming from different climate and different cultural background. It might not be same here. So another good way of redeveloping our competency-based training program is to make sure they are piloted at various institutions or various industries. So my covered being the host agency is to pick it up and move it to the next level. So what had been done at Legon or maybe at done at ECU's place, we don't have another company in another jurisdiction within the same country that we want to be doing the same. How do we upscale it? So with the supervision and cover being a member of the steering committee is also to take it to the next level, to make sure these training programs are properly packaged so we can train more people across the country, not just one company, so that we can boost up. You're talking about in the flower industry. We import flowers in Ghana right now, but we have the best climate to be able to export.
Fantastic, thank you, sir. I want to come to the M&E if you've done that, but these days we are thinking about the outcome. So you can put up 10 greenhouses, fine, but how many people benefited? How many jobs were created? So I guess that's your role. So forget about what they've said. Tell me what your M&E found in terms of the outcomes which you can learn. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to walk us through the key outcomes for which reason you think this project has. Sorry, I didn't mention your name. His name is
Johnson, or received funding. The good thing is that when you look at the number of enterprises and organizations, each institution or each member of this association represents an enterprise. And so when you look at it from that angle, about 4,443 enterprises have benefited from this second phase of the institution. And many people wouldn't always leave their small visuals behind. And so you can see on the board, one major outcome that we track is productivity. We want to find out when a staff, shows up in your work in a day, how much is that staff able to generate or add to what you produce? And so we call that productivity. We measure our productivity, or we define our productivity as output per labor.
Output per labor day.
Output per labor. Okay. And then we also have output per labor day.
Okay.
And so when your worker comes to work, in a day, how much is the worker able to produce?
Okay.
And then in an hour, how much is the worker able to produce?
Wow.
When you look at this, I think some part of it is in the corner. And yes, if you can move.
The slide is a bit to the right, but you can see the chart there. The base now was 18.4.
Excellent.
And it moved up to 30. Is it 33 or 35.02?
Yes. And so at baseline, we started from 18.48, which means before they started getting the support from us, a staff produces 18 CDs, 48 pesos on the average. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And then they got the support, they implemented the activities. At the end of their implementation, we went back to them and find out those enterprises that completed their production cycles. There are a number of them that couldn't complete their production in 3.
Okay.
Please can you...
We don't need all the details. We want bullet points. This is not a presentation. This is a panel.
Excellent.
So give us...
So please can you reset so that we see the actual, because we are only looking at window 1.
Okay. So there are 2.
Click on funnel, yes.
Okay, window 2 as well.
Click on the funnel up there so that you have... Okay, excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
And so we started with, for overall, we had 13 cities, 11 pesos.
Okay.
And then we increased to 33 cities, 25 pesos.
Okay.
Per hour.
That's almost 3 times increase.
Yeah.
Almost 3 times increase, yes.
And then when you come to window 1, you realize that window 1 are formal institutions, and they actually make use of a very organized system. And so you can see their productivity per hour is very high, 55 cities and 2 pesos.
Okay.
And when we started, it was around 14 cities. Window 2 is really a bit low, but it still had some improvement.
The curve is flatter.
Excellent.
Okay.
It's flattened, but they still improved from about 7 cities to 11 cities, and 10 cities, 23 pesos. And then the 4, actually when you look at the system, we only had one, we included only one window 4 enterprise, because the rest are still, in the process of giving us the data.
All right.
And that improved from 14 to 28 cities.
So that's doubling.
And so that is it. When you look at the total output, we did the assessment.
Amazing.
But you can see that window 1 had even higher. Can you click on window 1? Even higher improvement. So the value of the output actually improved from 9 million at the baseline to 21 million, which is about 123%. 9% of the organizations actually had improvement in their productivity.
Mr. Bashir,
only 20. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. We know what you're doing. I'll interview on my show to explain how you measure this, because I'm not sure. Actually, that's a great question. How this is my last question to you. How applicable is this? I have 200 employees. I have no clue how productive they are. I don't even know how much. I know how much they take from me every hour. I don't know how much they bring every hour. So what is this model? Can you share with something I can use in my radio station or some other business? Measuring productivity of people.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So the staff, the workers can they come together every day, and we want to find out whether they're producing the quantity of what they produce, and then the quantity is taken from at least one production.
This is per worker?
For the organization.
And then you average it?
Yes, and then
that makes sense.
And so we do the calculation based on one production cycle.
Can this work in the service industry?
Yes, it can work in the service industry.
Amazing.
It can work in the service industry.
Please put your hands together for... so sorry if I'm rushing and I'm not giving you a chance to talk. Superintendent researcher. You don't work for SDF, you don't work for Codvet, you don't work for... You are independent. If you talk about the key takeaways, well, you have just 2 minutes to do that. I hope you're not doing a presentation too. The way I'm holding your laptop, I'm worried. He's typing away. So he's in the person of Dr. Johnson Wilson Appeal from Ernst & Young. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will touch on how so far, based on the survey we did, our 60% were satisfied with the engagement, and then 33% were very satisfied. So almost 93% satisfied with what happened. So that's useful, and 88% said it was very useful. So here we're talking about 90+% saying the training was very useful. So it means they appreciated the training that they received. So I'll just start on one outcome measure that we did. What the effect of all that happened. So I'll pick on the change in income over the period. So we measure their production, their sales, their profit, and the changes in their fixed assets. And here for SDF, I have a figure of 80% as a real, after taking care of all inflation and stuff, real annual changes in income.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's good.
Amazing.
How did you have these?
80.
Yeah, so that's good.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think we should put our hands together. So this is money well spent. There again. There's a last question on sustainability. I'll just ask one volunteer to answer that question. Where do we go from here? How do we make sure that? So just assure us that this 10-year experiment is sustainable and better. And we're answering for all the panelists.
So that's the only way. So the minister did talk about the fact that we are institutionalizing it because projects normally end. But government wants Education Regulatory Bodies Act into our constitution, but now the Development Fund Committee is one of the standing committees that we have to applaud government for that. Then also, in its forward-looking, government has also committed a minimum of $60 million, which we believe, this being a fund, a seed fund, we hope that other will even double it, because if about 14 million come from the private sector or other development partner, then we into the system, but still the private sector rooms of to Dr. Johnson, Adam, M&A expert at SDF, you also need Mr. Beniza, but take closer to, we'll enter the tour, very nice. Son of Dr. Sepchuma Kwabwa, he's going to give us, and we'll show you how to get the tour on your phone. Kwabwa, please bring his mic, liking and sharing this video on City FM.
I'm to remove my mask. Even though the president hasn't removed his yet. To summarize, and I think when we listen to that, we all appreciate that skills development is very, as I said at the beginning, I've been associated with it all these years, but I really never appreciated the level, another association level. If you created 14,000 jobs within 600 innovation centers, improving that and constantly connect our education acts, and by an act which is law, and therefore we are seed fund. $60 million seed fund is being made available for the skills development fund is also very encouraging and heartwarming. Our greatest concern has always been, when you have beautiful programs like this, how do you ensure its sustainability? But I think so far what you've heard is, if there's anything to go by, then we are really encouraged. And the Convert CEO mentioned the transition that is going on to ensure that technical training arrangements. That for me is also quite heartwarming. The CB training is not limited to only a few institutions that Convert has direct to, it should be CBT. We need to really encourage this to happen, and I think that is very, very important. Beautiful promise, and I like it. But we still always have a resource challenge. The pledge is good, but I would even ask that perhaps it's not just a pledge, it's been done. Beautiful, beautiful. So that's even more encouraging. But I will even add that every year we must make budget provision in our national budget for skills development. I think that is very important and even more reassuring. But we are happy that the World Bank will continue to support. And for us in industry, I must say that we are always ready to partner and absorb the skills that is developed. But I must quickly add that, and that is what I also appreciate some of the effort made by the government in terms of the district industrialization and all the effort that is being made for industrial development. Because you can only develop skills while developing the skills, emphasis on development of industry is also very, very. I think I know Dr. Fedi quite well. He's been part of this program right from the onset and made meaningful contribution, and our sister who has also been chairing it. And indeed, it is important that we recognize people who make contributions at different stages in a program of this nature. So I'm happy that we honor them. I'm also happy those who are not here to listen to these beautiful presentations and discussions. You have the opportunity of. So I would like to end here by thanking not only in skills development, I know of the BUSAC Fund and all the others. We have been one of the main beneficiaries of South Ghana so much in critical areas of need. And I think that we really appreciate the effort that they've made in supporting us. So once again, I believe you've had a good program and we wait for the exhibition. I believe we'll all be here.
In previous affairs, to open the virtual tour, then we will end the new normal, guys. So let's get used to it. Things you want to see in this tour. So this tour is different from the normal tour. Adjoa, where is the thing they used to cut it? Good. So, okay, sorry, Madam Minister, Social Affairs, Dr. Sama, you have to go into the tour and come out. So it's the advantage you can choose the sector you want instead of simply going from stand 1 to stand 2. It makes it easier and to do better use of your time. So I think we need to make it taut, pull the tape so that when they cut it, it actually cuts. Yes, and I think somebody should help me move the Alisa, move it to the left. So even though there are not too many people say Lonsi, Matson, Deputy Minister. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much. We're visiting the first booth and SDF Fair 2020.live. SDF Fair 2020.live. This is the address. SDF Fair 2020.live. It is a beautiful thing. So there was no vote of thanks, but I think I'll call Adjoa to come and just give us a closing remarks as a vote of thanks. Adjoa, where are you? She's gone to arrange something. Okay, on behalf of Adjoa, please come and give a vote of thanks. Put hands together for Adjoa Labish is the Grand Officer, extremely hardworking. All SDF staff here, please rise so we can acknowledge your hard work. Please rise. Where are you? Adjoa, I'll give you the mic to do the rest. Sorry, use this one. Yeah.
Okay, this is a little bit on the spot, so bear with me, but we are very grateful to our partners, the Danish Embassy, Government of Ghana. We are grateful to invited guests, especially our committee members. We are grateful to you for always steering us in the right direction and sitting and deliberating on all the applications that come to you. There are lots. If you see the number of applications we sent to them, you'll be amazed. But they read every one of them and make insightful decisions on them. So we are grateful to you. And then we are grateful. Please, if I forget anyone, bear with me. This is a bit on the spot. So we are also grateful to you, invited guests. Without you here, our program wouldn't have been successful. So thank you very much for coming. And in fact, sorry, I should have started with thanking you for honoring our invitations. So thank you to you both for coming. And for everybody else who came, and especially for our staff. It's not easy planning this, and especially planning the virtual fair. This is a new one for all of us. So to the SEF staff, thank you very much for all the sleepless nights and the hard work. We are very grateful to you too. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for thanking us. The program is officially over. We have refreshments for you. We'll first wait for Deputy Minister and invited guests to leave. And then the next time we see you will be virtually. My name is Bernard Avlet. Thank you for being a great audience. Our viewers online, please share and like. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.